this was kind of just on a whim. It is a YA fantasy romance. It honestly, it sounds fairly typical for the genre, but I don't necessarily mind that all the time. Sometimes what you want is just like a nice genre read. So, it sounds interesting. I'll read the back. It says, Katza is a graceling, one of the rare people born with an extreme skill. As a niece of the king, she lived a life of privilege until the day her ability to kill a man with her bare hands revealed itself during a royal banquet. Now she acts as her uncle's enforcer, traveling the kingdom and threatening those who dare oppose him. But everything changes when she meets Poe, a foreign prince graced with combat skills, who is searching for the truth about his grandfather's disappearance. When Katza agrees to help him, she never expects to learn a new truth about her own grace, or a terrible secret that could destroy them all. So again, it sounds pretty typical of the genre. I remember reading the first couple pages and at least enjoying that enough to like pick it up. I think this is part of a series, but I'm not super sure if it's like direct sequels or just like spin-offs. I'll have to look more into that. Again, I picked it up on a whim. I don't know a lot about it, but it does look pretty good. And this cover is so pretty. Oh my gosh. Not that that should like convince you into buying a book, but it does help when you decide on it. So there's that. Now getting into the books that I have started from that book haul a couple months ago. This is Water Moon. I hear this is it's a fantasy mixed with some like literary fiction elements in the prose. I did read the first page. It sounds very, very pretty. So I quite enjoy that. I won't read the back of this one because again I just did that one video ago. That was my first video. But I will tell you, this one is about a woman who inherits a pawn shop that deals in like regrets. So people pawn off their regrets. But then one day something's stolen from them. Like the most like prized or valuable thing, I guess. And she has to like go on this journey with this guy to like find it again, I guess. So I'm assuming it's also gonna be about like more than that. There's gonna be like some like big life discovery that she makes, and it'll be like really meaningful and touching. Just from what I gathered about what people have said about it. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Okay, so next one. This is The Palace of Illusions. Right, so this one is about a woman who finds out whose grandfather is a toy maker. And they all seem like too good to be true almost. Like somehow magical, but like he's first they're just mechanical or whatever. But then she ends up finding this like entryway to another world, and she's like, oh, maybe they are magic. It takes place in the 1900s at the World Fair, and I did want a historical fantasy. I think it's been a little bit since I've read one of those. So there's that. Next up, 7 Reasons to Murder Your Dinner Guests. This one I got for free as part of a promotion at a local bookstore. They were giving away free arcs with like every so much money that you spent gosh, sorry, I just sneezed there. I'll have to cut that out. Anyways, they all assume it's a prank, but then people start actually dying at those ages. So then they're like, okay, I guess we need to like figure out what's happening. Like, is this magical? Is this a human doing this? And like, yeah, figure out how to not die, I guess. So that's fun. Next up, I'll do these two together since it's a duology. This is a Mulan retelling, which I do love a Mulan retelling. I've read one, and then I've seen a couple. Obviously, the Disney one. There's that really great live action Chinese one with like incredible background music. The animated Disney one, also unfortunately the live action Disney one. I have read a translated version of the original of the Mulan poem, translated to English or Chinese. So it's just a story that I read. Anyways, but I like how this one sounds like it's reimagining it. The first one is the night ends with fire. The second one is the dragon wakes with thunder. They are so pretty to look at these pretty pictures. Oh my gosh. But yes, also the story just sounds great. So again, it's a storytelling. But the twist here is that instead of joining the war to like save her father, the main character in here, her name is Malin. Malin, her father's a drunkard, and he is like going to sell her off to marry this guy. But this guy, it turns out, is also like really bad news. He's not good. He's not gonna treat her right. He's gonna treat her very bad, terribly. And she's like tired of being at the whims of like a terrible man. So she decides to join the war as like a means of escape. So yeah, I do really enjoy a story about like particularly a woman like finding her sense of self-worth, her sense of strength. Which it sounds like this is going to have in it. I do also love stories about like, I don't know, overcoming some like those trauma, especially like learning to trust people again. So it also sounds like maybe that's what's going to be in here. But, yeah. So those two. Next on my physical TBR, we have The City in Glass. This is a really short one. I'm not worried about this one at all. I feel like if I'm really good with myself, if I really want to, I could probably do this in a weekend. It's only like 200 pages. This is a sort of fantasy. I also hear it's got some elements of lipstick in there, so I would like to read more literary fiction. That's why I picked it out. It's about this demon who like built this whole city like completely under her control, but she's like, again, she's a demon, so she's like treating all of the inhabitants in there rather cruelly. So then these angels come and they like destroy the city because she's a demon, she needs to be punished, I guess. Even though like then you're also destroying all these innocent lives in the process. Because like all the people, all the inhabitants there, they were like victims, right? But anyways, I did in part pick this up because I looked it up online. I hear that it's not a typical story of just like demons good, demons bad, angels good, or even like demons good, angels actually bad. It's got more nuance than that, which I really appreciate. So there's that. But yeah, also, like after the angels burn down the city or whatever, destroy it, she like curses one of them. And so the story is about like, I guess how they have to interact with this like curse on the demon. They're like bound together now, the angel and demon. So yeah. just haven't really made as much time as I would have liked to read poetry this past year. So going forward this next year, I want to make more time to read poetry. Here's what I have on hand already. I have this little tiny book of Sylvia Plath's works. There should be like all of them in here. I'm like a third of the way through it, so I'm not doing too bad, but again, I'd like to finish at least this one. I know she was like really, really influential in poetry, so much so that people essentially like completely reshaped how it's done, how it's thought of, like, so I would like to do it for that. I also have really enjoyed what I've read so far, so I'm not just forcing myself to, but this one is Invisible Strings. It is a like anthology style collection of poems inspired by Taylor Swift songs. I am a Swiftie. Been here since the beginning, actually. I started listening to her when I was rather young, when Debut came out. My mom really loved that record, actually, and as a kid I really loved it as well, and you know, my enjoyment of her music has only grown over time. So there's that. But yeah, because this is an anthology, each poem has a different author. I've skipped around and read a few, not all of them though. I like to get more into it again. This one is just a little weird because like you can kind of see like the poems are quite different from each other sometimes in like form and style. So it does kind of come down to a situation of sometimes I'm like, oh, like I really enjoyed like this particular poem. This is really right up my alley, but like other poems might be really right up somebody else's alley or something, you know. Yeah, I thought that would be a fun one, and also it's modern poetry, and like that also doesn't get like as much recognition, right? So I do want to like support that somehow. This is Giant Poetic by Skip Tracer. This is also a modern poem. I did start reading it barely. As you can see, this one is kind of a mix though between like poetry and prose. But the prose that I've read so far has been very like poetic prose. So it's kind of like he's also mixing in some like not quite prose poetry in there, but like basically. And I know there's supposed to be other stuff in there that's like inspired by like songs, right? Like almost like lyrics and stuff. Yeah, and it's autobiographical. So yeah, it sounds really interesting. I really appreciate the mix of like different forms of writing in here. I think it's gonna be a good read. I also do like love this cover, like it just yeah, I think it really like grabs you, and the whole collage thing kind of like speaks to the style of the work, like mixing different forms of writing too. Here's a big one I picked up a while back. I haven't really started though. It's just when I was looking for more poetry to read, and it was recommended to me. This is Louise Gluck. I think I'm saying that right. And this is her. I think. Is this the entire collection, or is this only a part? I don't know, but it's like massive, so I'm not expecting to finish the whole thing this year. But if I could like make a decent chunk in it, I will be really happy. I think the thing that like really gets to me with poetry is, yes, they are like rather short pieces of writing, but I usually like to go over them 2 or 3 times in order to try and like devices and illusions, and everything that an author is using, especially with ultra poetry. A lot of the times, the point of poetry is not to state directly like what you are actually trying to say, but to do it in a roundabout way. So it's almost like a little bit of a puzzle. Like you kind of get to discover what the author is trying to say. Like there's the top meaning, the very like basic things that they're presenting on the surface level, and then there's the underneath. You know, it's like an iceberg. The deeper meanings, the metaphors, and everything that are not directly stated, but that you could like pull out and infer from the writing. So that's why it's poetry takes me a little while, but it is like it's a really, really good practice in reading, and I think it offers something different than like my typical fictional reads. So it does stretch me, it does give me enjoyment in like a different way, which I really, really appreciate. Last book of poetry that I have on me. Who knows if I'll buy more? I mean, realistically, I shouldn't until like I get through most of these, but you know, sometimes impulse purchases happen. Sometimes something just grabs you and you need to. This is the complete poems of Emily Dickinson. As you can see, I started marking some of the poems that I've already read. I actually kind of skipped around in here though. I wasn't like going through it in chronological order or anything, so there's that. I have read quite a few before this though. I know that I really love her works. It's Emily Dickinson, so like what do you expect? I feel like most people who read her works enjoy her works. She's considered one of the greatest for a reason. So yeah. Oh, I'll show you one of my favorites. It's this one. 288. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell. They'd advertise, you know. How dreary to be somebody. How public, like a frog, to tell one's name the livelong tune to an admiring blog. I just love that one because I feel like it so perfectly illustrates like the fear of being known, you know? Like this idea of like, I don't know, being afraid of being perceived. Even though like she was an author, she did try to publish her works in her time, like so clearly. There's like some tension there between like not wanting to be perceived, but like at the same time like wanting to, and like wanting to have your work well received. So that's why I really like that one. Okay, now on to the things that I don't have on hand. Some of these, actually quite a few of these, are just like general ideas. Like I would like to read like this type of book. So like I have on my list one literary fiction book. I know that I said that some of these are like kind of literary fiction. I want to do, I guess, a more like classical literary fiction novel. Maybe one that's like, you know, a little bit more contemporary or something. Because I think the ones that I picked out were like also very fantasy reads. So one literary fiction novel. I want to read more classics in general. So on that end, I would like to read a sci-fi. I'm thinking maybe, in classics I'm also including things that are like modern classics. So that are like maybe a few decades old. Yeah, maybe a few decades old, but not like 100 years old. I know I'm being really loose with that term, but I haven't read a lot of those, so I'm gonna count it. there's like so many different ways you could go with that. I could actually read Sherlock Holmes. I could do it. I could do Agatha Christie. I'm sure that there's a lot of others that I'm forgetting right now. But and then classic mystery, classic sci-fi, and then classic fantasy. And for classic fantasy, I'm thinking Lord of the Rings, because I always think I'm gonna start Lord of the Rings and then I don't start Lord of the Rings. So I just need to do it at some point. See where it all began. It is really like the birth of modern fantasy. So there's that. That one, I think I might do an audiobook. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay. Right, so, something indie published. I don't think I read anything indie published this past year. So, something indie published. I'll figure that out next year. Maybe it might be a new one. I don't know. If there's any of these that you guys have like a book that you just love and that fits in here, please let me know. I will look it up. I'll probably read it. Okay. One nonfiction book. I did actually do better this past year. I think I did 2 nonfiction books. They're both of the John Green novel. Oh gosh, what was it called again? The one where he like rates different things in the world. The Anthropocene Reviewed. And Everything's Tuberculous. Both great reads. I actually listened to both of those on audiobooks because I know like I've just heard his voice so much from like the podcasts and like YouTube that like I don't know, I felt like it was like very comfortable listening to the audiobooks, you know, like it just felt right to hear it in his voice. So there's that. And then I have a few like titles that I just want to read, but like I don't own yet. So like The Second Death of Locke, I heard is incredible. I've just heard so many good things about that that I would read it. Okay, after The Second Death of Locke, I have some like I would call them standing TBR things. Like these are works that are like part of a series that I like know they're going to be publishing more in the next year. So it's just like, okay, if that doesn't have a date yet, or if I don't know yet, just like whenever it comes out, I want to read it. So, on here I've got The Apothecary Diaries. I know I need to read Light Novel 15. That's already out. So, Light Novel 15 and whatever else comes out next year. The Apothecary Diaries is one of my like favorite series in general, I would say. It follows this girl, Mao Mao, who is an apothecary in like what's basically ancient China. It's not exactly ancient China, it's a fictionalized version of it. But this isn't a fantasy, so it's just like ancient China, but not quite. I think the author did that because like they combine a lot of like things that happened centuries apart, but like to not get in the way of historical facts, they like made it a fictional country instead. So then like that's not an issue if they want to like do a bunch of things that didn't technically happen at the same time. So, but anyways, it is so lovely. It like is part medical mystery, it's part like court drama, it's a little bit romance. The night novels are really, really slow burn though, so don't be expecting a ton on that front. In there at least. It's part like political drama mystery too. So yeah. It's really great. I love it for like the themes of like how women had to move in like an era and a place where like the social hierarchy was so strict, especially on women of like non-noble birth. And it just really, I think it understanding in like the difficulties that people faced back then. Without being like too depressing, too dark, without telling in angst too much, which is why I love it. I also just think Mama was like one of my favorite characters. I think she's like one of the best written female protagonists that I've seen in a while, especially when it comes to like manga and anime. So if that's something you're interested in, I would definitely check it out. They're light novels, so they're like really easy reads. I know there's 15 of them, but like they're only about 200 pages. The writing isn't terribly complicated. It's fairly simplistic. So they're pretty fast to get through. Yeah. You can also watch the anime and then like just pick up where it leaves off if you want. Anyways. So I've got that one. The other anime or the other manga that I have on there is Fall in Love You Falls Angels. That one is more of a classic like high school romance. But it follows these two kids. This girl and guy who are like pretend to be like super polite. Like they're just like the model star student. Everybody wishes their kid was like that. Everybody wishes all their other students were like that. But it turns out they're not really like that. And when I had this pitched to me, I thought that it was gonna be like they were like punks or something in some way. Like they were like more of like a bad boy, bad girl kind of a thing. No. They're just pretty normal kids, you know? It's just that they act like they're like better than that. In front of like everybody else but each other. And so this like romance starts to develop because like they're the only two people or one of the very few people where they like let their guard down around each other. So that's like really cute. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just had a coughing fit. I don't know where that came from. I'm not sick, or at least I haven't been. Gosh, I hope I'm not getting sick. Anyways, sorry. I also want to keep up with Spy Family. I'm right up to volume 12. And they've got volume 13, 14, and 15 published right now, I think. So that's like a little bit to catch up on. Sorry, I'm just remembering I have this other one. So if you know My Hero Academia, I started watching and reading it when like the first season started airing years ago. So like I want to finish it because of that. I do also want to say I don't think it's bad. It's not like the best written thing ever. It has very clear issues, especially in like the writing of the female characters, but like I've stuck with it for so long. I do want to see how the characters' stories end, and I don't want to just like look it up. Like I'm like still a little bit more emotionally invested in that, but anyways, so I've got that on my list too. Yeah, finally finished that one, and also the spin-off Vigilantes. I think I got like halfway through it, and then life happened. I was in college, and I just had to put it down, and I just didn't pick it back up. So I want to like pick it up and finish it this year. Again, it's these ones because they're manga and they're not like super duper like what should I say, dialogue heavy either. They don't take me terribly long, so yeah. Anyways, and then writing goal. So this year I have been focusing on trying to like plot a novel. Next year my goal is to finish a first draft. And by a first draft I mean my goal is 1,000 words per week. That shakes out to 200 words every business day, every weekday. Which is like not terribly meaning that's like super duper achievable, but this way I get 52,000 words in a year. which is on the short end for a novel. I recognize that, but I do think that's enough to give me like a good first draft, so then I can see like where do I expand, like what scenes maybe need more explanation, more like description, you know, like whatever they need, and then like where do I need extra scenes, like what other scenes did I not initially plan for, but I suddenly like look back, read back, and think, oh my gosh, actually like I need this in here to like help build up this plot point, you know. So that's my goal. I think that will make writing a novel super achievable, because like I've been wanting to do this for a while, but like it's very intimidating. So I feel like I start and then like I end up stopping, because I just get really discouraged and I just think like, oh my gosh, like what's the point? Like, am I actually gonna do it? But yeah, I think I finally like set out for myself a goal of like that is like achievable, you know. And I think my problem was that before I was like wanting to do it faster than I could realistically, and so then like when I like set these big goals for myself, it became clear that like you're not gonna do that, you're not gonna finish that in that time. It was just like really discouraging and like just made me want to stop. That's the plan. Yeah, if you want to know more about that, I guess I can like expand if you would like, but that's just kind of like a self goal. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm trying to sell them on something that doesn't exist yet. So anyways, if you guys have any other recommendations, especially anything that like fits the like general categories that like I'm going for, right? Like an indie published novel that you really love, or like one that's coming up that you're looking forward to that you think I should check out, any classics, any other manga actually. Oh right, sorry, I almost forgot. I can't believe I just like it's on the list and I just skipped over it. The other manga that I want to start is Yon of the Dawn, which is like really intimidating because like that's huge. But that's why I just said start. I'm not expecting to finish it, especially because like I have so much other stuff. It's just like probably gonna be one of those things that I like pick up in between, and then like put down for a little bit and then they come back to. I'm not expecting to like read that all straight in like, you know, a sitting. So, or even a few sittings. I know it finished recently. I don't know if that's all of it is translated into English yet or not, but I know it finished recently, so I really, I think it's a great time to start the next year. I've heard so many good things about it. From what I understand, it's about this young woman who was like this pampered princess originally, but like something happens to the kingdom, she has to go on the run, and like through doing that, she has to like learn to grow up, to like mature, and like come into herself more. I hear that it's like a lot of setup, but like the payoff is like huge. Like it really does like follow through tremendously. So it's been a while since I think I dove into like an epic length like that. So that would be really exciting. Yeah, especially because I don't actually know that I've read one that's been centered on like a female character like that, you know. I hope that this was enjoyable. I hope that it was like calming, like a good little like chat with you guys again. Please let me know what your recommendations are. Also, this is a new channel, so if you would like or subscribe as well. Yeah, that just really motivates me to keep going. And thank you all to anybody who's here from the last video. That's incredible. I'm really excited to be doing this. Finally, I've been thinking about it for a while, so especially